Hello guys, my name is Let's Talk, and this is my very first YouTube video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. I personally have a negative opinion on the Switch 2, and I really do not like it that much. But, let's talk about it. Let's talk about opinions, things they did wrong, things they did right, things they could have improved on, and all in all, let's talk about the Switch 2. Well, you can't talk about the cons without talking about the pros. So before we start with the cons, let's talk about the pros. The first thing I'd like to bring up is the Joy-Cons. The Switch 2 has larger Joy-Cons than the Switch, which I think is good. I find that the Switch Joy-Cons are too small, and I'll be playing something like Mario Kart, only to fall off the map because I'm constantly fidgeting with them in my hand, trying to find a good position. I don't know whether I like the color change or not yet, but they're not out yet. It's not out yet. And I most certainly won't be getting one on launch day, so we'll have to see. Next up is the mouse controls. I think the mouse controls are genius. I mean, the ability to use your Joy-Cons as a mouse is pretty cool. I don't know what to think about Drift and Drive, Drag and Drive, whatever it's called. That one basketball game that they're making, where you move your Joy-Cons like a mouse and it moves the hand as you play wheelchair basketball. I don't know what to think about that. I think it's a great idea. I heard somewhere that they're making a new Game Builder Garage version. You might have to fact check me on that. But I'm guessing you'll be able to use those there. I mean, you've been able to connect wired mouse to the first Game Builder Garage, so why couldn't you on the rumored second version? Yeah, that's pretty much it about the mouse controls. There's not much to them. So, lastly here is something that I think Nintendo's needed to improve on for years. And that, my friends, is the kickstand. I swear, the Nintendo Switch kickstand sucks. It falls off all the time, plus I have a $90 SD card, so, don't want the kickstand falling off and the SD card breaking. So finally, Nintendo fixed it. And now, the magical Switch 2, that actually isn't that magical, again, I don't really like it that much, has a better kickstand. Actually, it's just the kickstand they have on the Switch OLED. But honestly, now that it's being put on the general model, it'll get to more people, and more people will see the wonders of an actually good kickstand! Now, finally, after all this talking positive about the Switch 2, I can finally talk negative about it! Mwahaha! Mwahaha! Too much? Was that too much? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyways, so, first of all, the price. I swear, the Switch 2 is way too expensive. I mean, yes, okay, $650 is probably the baseline for equipment nowadays, but nonetheless, Nintendo, and the Nintendo Switch especially, is known for being the family-friendly console and the family-friendly company that's affordable and a good way for kids and their families to step into the gaming scene. I started with a Wii and then got my Switch. Those are both Nintendo consoles, but you know what I wouldn't have done if it was $650? Gotten a Switch! Now, don't even get me started on the cost of games. Oh my goodness, the cost of games? These things are mad! Like, Donkey Kong Bonanza is $100 Canadian, and Mario Kart World, the Mario Kart games are usually supposed to be cheaper, is 110 Canadian before tax. Like, that's malarkey. Nintendo games have always been more expensive than non-Nintendo games on the Switch, but $110 for Mario Kart, that is utter madness! Now, I'm going to go back to the console price a little bit here, but it's kind of hard to deny. So I just looked up the cost of a Switch 2 compared to a PS5. A new PS5 compared to a pre-order Switch 2 without Mario Kart World, okay? The PS5 is more expensive by $20. $20! Also, the PS5 is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, video game console on the market, and the Switch 2, which is borderline bottom of hardware capabilities, is $20 cheaper. $20 cheaper. Like, Nintendo, what are you doing? We get that you're a greedy company, but for the love of all things sane, you really think that today's economy is going to support a bottom line console costing $20 less than a high end console? Like, come on, people. Also, I just looked it up. Astrobot for the PS5 is $100, so it's not that big of a difference. But nonetheless, Astrobot will likely run much better than Donkey Kong Bonanza. I don't own a PlayStation 5, and I don't own a copy of Donkey Kong Bonanza or a Switch 2. I haven't pre-ordered either, so I won't be getting one, and I most definitely won't be getting one for a long time, until either A, they release a light version, or B, they make it a whole lot cheaper. But, you know, that's just how things go, because Nintendo is the greediest video game company on the market. Okay, I think I also have to mention the storage. Yes, the Switch 2 has more storage, coming in at 128 gigabytes instead of, the measly 32 that the Switch came with, and you could only use like 15 of that because of the system data taking up so much. I got my Switch, put Minecraft and Mario Kart in it, and guess what? I had half storage left. I couldn't download Minecraft 1.20 for like 3 months because I had to buy an SD card. I did buy that SD card closer to later of that summer, but I did have to buy an SD card. Yes, they're adding more storage, but that's not to say it's a good more storage. 128 gigs is good, but my Quest 2 came with 128. Quest 2s made on launch day had 128 gigabytes of data. The Oculus Quest 2, or now the Meta Quest 2, came out in 2016, and when you think about it, really isn't that much more hardware than the Switch 2 has, and yet it came out in 2016, had 128 gigs, and the Switch 2, coming out in 2025, has 128 gigs. Another thing I'd like to mention, this isn't 100% connected to the Switch 2. It's kind of tied to the Switch as well. But they made a lot of changes to the UI of apps, and they changed a lot of digital software on the Switch. That'll also be coming to the Switch 2, seeing as they were intended for the Switch 2. One of which is the UI changes in the Nintendo Switch Online app. I'm fine with it. I kind of whatever. I kind of miss the red, but, black and white looks good as well. I don't really like that it's set to whatever color your Switch home screen is, but meh. And what I really wanted to mention when I said I wanted to talk about software was the virtual game card system. It's kind of an okay system. I liked it, except that there was one problem. You see, to explain what I'm going to say here, I'm going to use a story. This is the story of when I bought The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's a great game. I highly suggest. I recently got to the point where I'm fighting Ganondorf, but anyways, so I bought it on a night. I spent all night and a lot of the morning downloading it onto both Switches. Now, after this, me and my brother both wanted to play it. So, I booted it up on one Switch on my account, the account we bought it on. And my brother booted up the other Switch, was the Switch we actually bought the game on. This Switch, he was capable of playing on his account because we bought it on that Switch. However, on the other Switch, I was capable of playing it because I bought it. Thus forth, I could play it on either Switches. But now, they've changed that. You can only play it on one Switch at a time. Now it works as if the game was a game card that you interchange between what Switch it's in. It still works so that the account that bought it can play it on multiple Switches, same as it used to. It's just only one person can play it at a time. Meaning, if this had been implemented when I got Zelda, I could have played it on the other Switch. However, as long as I was playing it on the other Switch, my brother couldn't play it on the main Switch. This isn't really a big problem with old games, but whenever we buy a new game, we both want to play it. And yet, it's the big problem of who gets to play it first. Like, I don't know what to think about this. It's not really a big deal like some of the other stuff, and again, it and the other UI changes are coming to both the Switch and the Switch 2, and in fact, they're already out on the Switch, so it's not really related. I just thought I'd mention them here. They were announced in the Direct for the Nintendo Switch 2, which was a pretty good Direct, by the way. I only watched the second half of it. But nonetheless, that's kind of all I could think of, honestly. Like, that's every negative thing I can think about the Switch 2. Well, I really hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, if you could please consider pressing subscribe and even pressing like. This was my first video, so definitely a few things I can improve on. One thing I realized as I was making this video was there's a lot of imperfections, like at the start there's like a humming or whatnot in the background, almost like a static humming. And then there's the other parts where it's like my voice gets really high or low and you can hear my breathing a lot. I'm trying to fix that. I'm working on that problem. I was fidgeting between two sets of headphones to see which one would work better. The up and down problem is with the second set, and I'm using the second set, so hopefully I find a good way to fix it. I think the mic was too close to my mouth. But nonetheless, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.